All right, so I hit the flea market today, and no, I didn't get this at the flea market. What ended up happening was I ran into a guy I know there, and I asked him if he happened to know anybody who might have an older bandsaw. I said, I'm looking for an older cast iron bandsaw. I plan on maybe at some point doing a conversion on an older, like dual bandsaw, wood cutting bandsaw, putting a speed reduction unit on it and turning it into a metal cutting bandsaw. Well, he said, yeah, he says, as a matter of fact, 2 weeks ago he was at a yard sale. Guy kind of had a yard sale thing going. They were getting rid of some tools, and he said there was a nice one there. Said they wanted $75 for it. So he told me where the house was. It was the next town over. So I decided to take a ride out, knocked on the door this morning, and the guy confirmed that I had the right house. Unfortunately, they did end up selling the bandsaw. And but he took me in the garage because he wasn't sure. He actually wasn't home, and he wasn't sure if his wife had sold the bandsaw. And when we didn't see the bandsaw in there, I happened to spot this sander, and we got to talking about it, and I ended up scoring this sander. So this is an old Craftsman 6x8 with a disc sander on the side. And those of you who've been watching my videos know that this is basically almost identical to the Toolkraft sander that I just scored. It's the same type of setup. It's a convertible. We've got a stop here so that when this is in the horizontal position, which this whole thing swings down, you can use it with the stop. And then when you put it in the vertical position like it is now, you're supposed to loosen this bolt, take this rod out, and this whole cast iron table right here assembly goes in that hole, and now you've got a table for the vertical side. And I mean, I can't get over how much of this is a complete knockoff of, so somebody ripped off somebody's design. Either that or this was made for Craftsman by the same company. And it even had this T-slot, this miter gauge. That's a pretty nice one, actually. I don't know if that's the original one, but it's a perfect fit. And so I got kind of fussy because of the fact that I already have a couple of these. So needless to say, I was cheap. He had no idea what to ask for it. I told him, I said, you know, actually the last one I bought, I got it for like $35, but I said, you know, I know you probably don't want to take that. And he said, no, but he said he'd take 50. And I thought about it, and I said, well, I only want the top here. I said, how about 40 for the top? And he says, no, he says, we're trying to make room in the garage, so I got to take the whole thing, because this base is kind of, this whole 2x4 base I'm not really impressed with. It's kind of rickety. But then I looked at the motor he's got on here. It's a big honking Baldor motor. I mean, I think it's overkill for the size of this sander. But it occurred to me that might be the perfect fit for my Rockwell sander that I've got, which has a 3-phase motor in it right now, so I'm going to want to convert that over. So I figured the motors, if I pay the 40 for this that I said I wanted to pay, that motor's worth $10 all day long. So $50 and we loaded it up. So I'm pretty happy about that. I'm probably going to trash this base anyways, so I just plugged it in. I wanted to see if it runs right now, and then I'll end up taking the top off and the motor, bringing that down into the basement and junking the rest of it. End up being probably firewood. Peter, do me a favor and go over there and hit that switch.
Where?
Right on this side here. See it? That's all right, keep going. It's just dust. Oh, it's a puff. Got nice fine adjustments here for tracking of the belt. Dial it right in. All right, shut it off. Is it as exciting as you thought it would be?
No.
No? It kind of? Not your thing, huh?
I don't get why you're gonna trash those things.
Oh, just this, because it's kind of rickety. Somebody built that out of 2x4s, and we could make a better base than that. This is kind of a waste of space and all that. You know, it's kind of like they were using it as like as a little workbench too. I don't even think that started out its life as intending to be the base for this sander. I think that somebody had that cart and then basically decided to turn it into the pedestal for this sander, because it's got, I don't know what the heck's going on here. It's got like a weird little shelf on the side and got a little cubby hole down here.
You don't care if you ruin this?
The wooden thing?
Let's just toss it down there. Not toss it, but
I'm not even going to do that. I'm going to unbolt this top piece and carry that downstairs and unbolt the motor and the cord and just do that. All right. I guess I don't need your help. Well, actually, that cast iron piece is pretty heavy. We should unbolt that and you can help me. So this actually, now that I look at it, looks like it might even be nicer than the Toolkraft. I went online and I looked up the model number, which is on a data plate right here. Right there. So it's a 103.22500. It's interesting. It says Sears Roebuck Company USA, Simpsons Sears Limited Canada. So when I searched online, I found quite a few hits for that particular model number. But as far as like any previously sold ones on eBay, all I found was parts. And then kind of like with the Rockwell sanders. But then when I searched for just 6x48 belt sanders, Craftsman, I did see a couple. One of them sold for like crazy money, $250, and it was a different model than this. And I actually noticed that on that model, this design up here of the tensioning system, the tracking adjustment with these nice knobs and these spring-loaded arms didn't exist on that one. It was a different setup. I actually think this might be better. So that might be a keeper. I don't know. And you know, there's some damage here, not much. Some little grooves cut in there. That's from this side edge of the belt digging in there. If this is in the horizontal position and the belt tracks over to that side too far, it's going to rub here. And the only other damage I spotted is that this is grooved out right here, and that's because when this table is mounted here, it can be swiveled. And you know, if you tilt it too far that way, well, then this edge right here is going to dig into that. Well, looks like the Toolkraft's got the same design. Got these adjustment knobs here for tracking and tension. Now, a vintage Craftsman tool guy, aficionado type, would probably be able to tell me roughly how old this thing is just based on this style of this little placard here. This is not a sticker. This is actually riveted on, little metal placard.